Hi, everybody. How are you doing? I'm Dr. Gail, and this is Barbara Lamb. And thanks for joining us today. Sorry, we're a few minutes late. We were having a little bit of technical difficulties, as we all have on, on YouTube.
Principal.
Always happens. But thanks for everybody for being here. And today we're going to be talking about star seeds, which you have recently written a book with Sheila Seppi about star seeds walk-ins and hybrids. So
Right.
today we're talking about the star seeds, which we don't really talk about a lot. And I think the definition of them is kind of foggy or unclear for a lot of people. So
Right.
first off, Barbara, tell everybody who you are and what you do before we go further so they'll know who's talking.
Okay. Well, my name is Barbara Lamb, and I am a long-time psychotherapist and regression therapist. And these years, right now, I'm concentrating on the regression work because it really helps people to understand, what they have experienced, things they might be really wondering about, and to understand themselves better and get messages from their own higher self, their soul. Uh, and sometimes we go into past lives in the regressions when that seems to be the source of something somebody is dealing with. Mostly, however, since 1991, I have been concentrating primarily on regressing people to experiences that they have with other beings. In other words, what we call extraterrestrial beings. And many people, I mean, millions and millions of people worldwide have been having encounters, visits, experiences with certain extraterrestrial beings. And most people don't remember very much about those visits. In fact, many times they don't remember having had a visit, an encounter at all. And yet there's been something unusual that happened that they've been wondering about, sometimes from decades, sometimes even from childhood or infancy. So it's a very wonderful work. And many people come nowadays, especially, to find out more about why they are here in this lifetime, realizing that they are a continuing soul on and on and on. And sometimes they come into physical incarnation on earth. What I have been finding out too is that many people who are here on earth now had been other forms of life previously. They had been extraterrestrial beings. Now, this isn't the type of thing that people just know automatically as they go through life, but um, sometimes they build up more and more of a sense that they are really connected somehow, mysteriously, with other beings who are not human, who seem to be coming from space. And when we get into some of those regressions to experiences that they have had, that's when sometimes they find out that they had been beings of that type in previous incarnations, or at least in some previous incarnations.
Well, before we get into that, Barbara, let me say hello to a few people that are coming into the chat and talk a little bit about a few announcements I have. Thanks for being here, Leah. Hi. Hey, Emmy J. Hey, Sarah. Thanks for being here. Hey, Teresa. Thanks for being here. Hey, Damaris. Hey, everybody. Thanks for being here today. And White Dragon, thanks for being here. But I want to thank the moderators that are here. Teresa handled an incident last time when we had somebody in the chat that was using some language that wasn't very accepting on YouTube, and she took care of it, which I want to shout out to you, Teresa, for handling it. And all you moderators, feel free to handle any kind of inappropriate language that shows up or inappropriate comments that show up that you can go ahead and take care of. When I'm busy, and I saw it, but I just could not get to it at the time. And I do thank you, moderators, for making this a safe place for us to join together and talk and not have that kind of language in here. So I'm going to pull up Teresa. She is put down here that greetings, Galactic Tribe, Gail and Barbara. Please remember to like and subscribe to all channels. Thanks. Appreciate that, Teresa, for that reminder to everybody. And also, Barbara's information is in the description box. If anybody needs to get a hold of her for regression therapy or a question that her information is in the description box and her YouTube channel. So, well, Barbara, before we get really started about star seeds, I've got and it's confusing because I feel like everybody's a star seed because we've had some kind of galactic connection. Now, I think we have, which I can't remember her name, talked about the three different kind of souls, which was Earth souls, galactic souls, and angels that are here on Earth. And those are different kind of souls. And so I think, and I know I'm along with everybody else, how confusing this all can be because the earth souls and the angel souls, and I feel like everybody does, and I know it's our human body that has the galactic DNA, and our souls, we have to look at it as different. This is our soul that's coming into this human body that has this extraterrestrial DNA that was created to create us. But some of us are really earth, and that human body, some of it is earthbound, and some of it, well, no, I must just say, some of our souls are earthbound or more earth oriented. I should say not earthbound, earth oriented. Some of us are galactic oriented and some of them are angel oriented. Now, we both specialize in the galactic part of it. The galactic people is who we attract. And so we're going to be going into that today. But do you have any comments about those three different things? Now, I'm going to say one other thing. When I was working with the earth individuals, it was more with the elementals and like the Lemurians when I was living in Mount Shasta, which I consider part of the earth souls. And I actually was exposed to work with them while I was in Mount Shasta. But I do, and I think that was just an education for me because I'm supposed to be the communicator between all worlds. And that was to educate me about them. So what do you have, before we get into the actual star seeds, do you have any comments about all that? I'm sure you do. You know more than I do.
Well, I'm not sure about that. But anyway, yeah, there are a number of different kinds of beings here that come from different realms. And some of them are walking right around life with us, and we know them as people. Some of them are living in special communities like the ones in Mount Shasta. And there are other places. I know there are very unusual, wonderful beings from the extraterrestrial realm who are living in a mountain in Switzerland. And there are probably more in the world that I have not become aware of. So anyway, I think that we have mostly assumed that what there are living on Earth are people and animals and many, many forms of life. But I think I'm gathering that most people on Earth probably do not recognize that there are some really, really special beings here who have a lot of connection with some of the very fine beings out there in space. And one of these groups, the one we'll be talking about today, is the group of star seeds. And this also includes star kids, star children. There are many of them all over the world coming into regular families, and the families may or may not recognize how very special they are, but they are special. Anyway, the star seeds and the star children are basically here to raise the consciousness of humanity. And when you think about what's going on in the world, all of the things going on in the world, so many of the negative, greedy forces, the competitive forces, the people who want to grab a lot of money and power, especially power. And of course, that's been going on forever, it seems, here on the world. And it certainly is happening at a very rapid pace today. And then all the wars and the threat of wars and the negative news and the scary things that are fed to us all the time. Um, it's a very dramatic time. Probably every time on Earth has been a dramatic time, actually, when we think of it going way, way, way back to even previous civilizations that are no longer here. But anyway, we do see a lot of this going on today. And so it's very appropriate and very helpful, very wonderful, in my opinion, that starseeds are among the helpers who are here. Now, starseeds are regular people. If you saw a starseed, you'd think, oh, that's a regular person. And they are born here of human parents. Uh, in some views, they have some extraterrestrial genetics. In some views about starseeds, um, they don't necessarily have the genetics from extraterrestrials, but they have the lineage of extraterrestrials. In other words, they were extraterrestrials in previous lifetimes, or at least in certain recent lifetimes. And because the extraterrestrials cannot come here and live on Earth and help humanity like they would like to, they would not be able to survive here, nor would they probably be accepted here. So instead of coming here themselves, they send some of them who can be incarnated as a human born on Earth from a human mother and father and live a whole lifetime here perfectly well. So that's the group that we're talking about now, and basically they're here to help humanity in ways that the extraterrestrials, whom they used to be part of, um, would like to see that help given to Earth. So
Okay,
it's
yeah,
wonderful for all of us.
yeah, let me ask you a question then to help others understand. Can you give us a kind of a difference between the hybrids and the star seeds that people understand? I mean, I do a real quick one and going, star seeds or have extraterrestrial genetics like stardust, that kind of thing. This is basic, and then I go and hybrids are more. They have more genetics, more ET, and I'm almost like they're extraterrestrials or aliens walking around in a human body. That's my quick description, and it's not accurate, but it lets people understand it a little better. So, can you give us an appropriate description of the difference of the two, or how you can distinguish between the two?
Well, of hybrids, ET human hybrids definitely have genetic in their bodies, genetics having been given by the extraterrestrials. Usually it's done at the point of conception, um, with having taken eggs from the human mother and sperm from the human man, which might or might not be her husband. And then that material is taken on board the ship and combined together, creating an embryo. And then, right then and there, extraterrestrials add their genetics to that embryo. And then they plant that embryo in the mother. She's usually not aware of this at all, very often done when she's asleep at night. And so she, the mother, who had contributed the eggs, the mother then gestates that new little embryo, usually for 2 months or so, maybe 2.5, possibly 3 months. and she recognizes that she's pregnant and gets that verified usually by a medical doctor here. And and she has a variety of reactions to being pregnant. And but anyway, she's carrying that little embryo, and then, unbeknownst to her, the beings come and remove that embryo from her body and take it and put it into a little tank of special fluid on the spaceship. And that little embryo then is gestated, into a fetus. And then at a certain point, after several months, um, it's ready for that little fetus to be born, quote unquote, born. And that means taken out of that tank of fluid by the beings and raised there on the ship. But then there's another kind of hybrid, which is where it's the same procedure. The eggs taken from the woman and sperm from a human man combined into an embryo. And then that's added to the human woman, and she gestates that full term. And along the way of being gestated full term, the beings take the woman again and inject DNA through her abdomen, through the wall of the uterus, and into the growing fetus. So that baby is now hybridized and will be born here on Earth and live a full life as a human being, ostensibly, but actually having been hybridized. And so it's really quite an amazing phenomenon, I think, compared to most people. And those hybrids live here the whole life as a regular human being in a human family. And they probably are the only hybrids in that family. And by the way, the genetics added to that hybrid are usually from more than one different species of extraterrestrial. Some of the hybrids I have come to know very well, and they're featured in the book called Meet the Hybrids by Miguel Mendonça and myself. And anyway, we did very extensive, long interviews with 8 people, and I did regressions on most of them as well. And they definitely are hybrids.
Okay. So can you distinguish then between, okay, to cut you off, I want to get into the star seeds. Can you you've explained the hybrids, so then what about the star seeds?
Yeah, well, the star seeds have not gone through that whole procedure, which I have just described, but they are people who are born here through a regular human family and live here their whole lives. And they used to be one species or another of extraterrestrial in previous lifetimes. And yes, some of them may actually have genetics added to their little embryo or fetus. And maybe some of them have not. But the distinguishing factor, really, in my opinion, is that they had previous lifetimes as certain kinds of extraterrestrials. And this lifetime, they've decided to live on Earth, to be born here and live here in order to really help humanity.
Okay. Well, let me ask you another question. So for me, I look at everybody and they do have some kind of extraterrestrial past, a life elsewhere. Have you run across on your regressions that nobody has had any extraterrestrial background or past? Are there humans here that have only reincarnated time and time again as humans? And also,
So
one question. The next question would be, are there brand new souls that come in for the first time as a human?
Oh, yes. Well, yes to both of those questions.
Okay.
That most people whom I have regressed, and it's a few thousand now,
Mhm.
people, uh, beginning in 1984, began to regress people to past lives and sometimes a whole series of past lives. And 1991, I began regressing people additionally to the extraterrestrial encounters that they have had. Um, so, with many, many people, probably most of them, um, especially the past life regression people, they have not been aware of any kind of lifetime on another planet. Although I must say, to my great surprise, before I consciously knew that there really are extraterrestrial beings of many types, or even at all, I was regressing some people to past lives, several of them. And lo and behold, it turned out in the regression that the past life they went to was one of being an extraterrestrial being
Mhm.
uh, coming here to Earth for various reasons. And so that was amazing to me, and a real opener to then years later regressing people specifically to extraterrestrial encounters. And
Okay.
by the way, uh, so many people do not have any awareness at all that they have had extraterrestrial visits um, until there's something that happens that they're really, really wondering about, like driving along and suddenly having a couple of hours of missing time and not knowing what that was about, what happened, and we find out in regression. So uh, some people just sort of stumble upon it, and
Right.
some people have actual physical memories of beings coming into the room at night or so forth, and encounters starting. And they usually remember just a few moments of the experience because they are put into a state of being non aware while the experience happens, and they are taken from wherever this contact begins, taken into a spaceship where a huge variety of things can occur for them.
Well,
So,
I have another not question or statement anyway. For me, I've had trouble integrating and figuring all this out. And for me, and I'm going to ask you this, is the problem that we're all having is that we are looking at our human body, this 3D body, and our soul. I think this is my thinking. I think our 3D body has had a lot of hands in it and a lot of extraterrestrials and a lot of different beings. So that body, that 3D body, can be a star seed because it's had hands in it. Our soul can have only lifetimes on Earth or lifetimes on different planets and different places, or it could be different elementals and different things like that. So to me, that seems to be the confusion that I've been trying to straighten out. And so, what do you think about that? Is my thinking, am I going down the right lane to separate the soul and the body? And anyway, asking your opinion, Barbara.
well, I think another way to approach this is that the soul has the ability to do amazing things. It can incarnate as a human for many, many lifetimes if the soul sees that that's the thing to do, what it wants to do. And the soul can also um, incarnate on other planets as other kinds of beings. And I don't know about this, but I think it's possible that the soul can incarnate as elemental type beings too. So the soul is really very flexible. What we humans are mostly aware of, if we even really think seriously about the fact that we are a soul who has decided to come in to this particular lifetime as a human, but our same soul might choose to be a whole different kind of being on a different planet in some of its journey. It's all for learning, that the soul grows and expands and develops and learns by these experiences that we have in lifetimes. So we can expand by being a person, a human on Earth, or we can expand and grow by being an extraterrestrial on a different planet. And I think it's quite exciting, actually, that our soul has that range of choices. And I think the more different kinds of choices that the soul makes, like being human sometimes and extraterrestrial other times, and other dimensional. There's plenty of life form
Yeah.
in other dimensional realms that are not having physical bodies, but still having what we would call lifetimes. That's an option for the soul as well.
Well,
So,
okay, so my understanding then is the soul probably is not different type of extraterrestrials. The soul probably lives a lifetime as this kind of extraterrestrial, or goes and lives a lifetime as this extraterrestrial, or goes and lives like it jumps into these kind of different bodies to experience. But
right,
the human body in all actuality is made up of different types of extraterrestrials that they come in here to experience. And that might be why they really enjoy experiencing a human body, because they are experiencing a lot of different extraterrestrial DNA put into this one body. That's
right.
kind of what the guys are sitting there telling me. I didn't know that until I've just heard that from them now.
Oh, okay. So, in other words, each one of us is so much more than we have ever imagined that we are as a soul. And
Yes.
all these experiences that we may have had. And just like coming into one lifetime on Earth as a human after another, uh, in the same way, we tend to not remember those previous lifetimes,
Right.
which I think is it's a good thing, because then each lifetime that we go into, we are really in that lifetime as that kind of being. And that's where we do all the learning and growing and developing. And it's very wonderful to be in the spirit realm between lifetimes. But that is not, I understand, where we grow and develop. And in order to grow and develop, we go into a lifetime. And it might be on another planet as another type of being, or it might be right here on Earth as a human being.
Yeah.
So whatever your lifetime is, you are growing and developing from these experiences.
Right. Well,
And
I keep asking, and I'm going, my next lifetime, I want to come back as somebody else's God. So I'm wondering, how that will fit into all that, because I'm going, I wanted to be one going shaking them or pointing at them, going, I told you so, and you should have done that.
okay, well, if that's what you want, you can probably choose that and
Yes.
manifest that. Yeah, so apparently, before we come into any one lifetime, we kind of have a little consulting session with other souls, little guides, and uh, and really look at some of the previous lives and what we've accomplished in terms of development and what we haven't yet, and we decide on certain themes that we're going to be working on in a lifetime. Now, I'm talking about everybody who comes to Earth for a lifetime as a human. Uh, so there are these themes that we have already, as a soul, decided to be exploring and developing and learning from. So that's true of all humans, even if it doesn't seem like some humans are here to learn and develop, but they actually are in their own way. And then we have those which we call star seeds, which have come here from another realm, an extraterrestrial group of lifetimes of experiences as one of those beings, recognizing that humanity on Earth could really use a helping hand. And I would like to mention now some of the things that some of these star seeds are here to really teach about, to learn from, and teach about, share with other people. And so, what I'm going to mention is coming from the program guide of the Conscious Life Expo, which will be happening in Los Angeles, as it does every year, in February this year. And so there are many, many speakers, more than ever before that I've noticed, who are probably starseeds because they're speaking about subjects such as five-dimensional healing,
Oh,
or as miracle healing, as healing with sound frequencies. These are three different speakers speaking about these things. And one speaker is speaking about unlocking hidden energy codes. Another is speaking about connecting with star beings. In other words, enlightened extraterrestrials. Another subject is
are you
activating portals. Pardon?
are you speaking at it?
No, I have met for many, many years and am not this year. Uh, but another one is speaking about activating portals, portals to other parts of the universe and portals to other dimensions of reality. And some are
Well, I'm
constantly.
still thinking, how many portals have I closed up?
Ah, yeah, well, that's a whole huge subject in itself.
Yeah, it is. It is. It
Well,
is. But also, Barbara, you have recently been on Gaia, and I haven't asked you many questions about that, but I would love to hear how that is because you've been on it many times.
yeah,
And how is that experience on Gaia when you go there? And I'm assuming they fly you out, or you
they
how
do,
they fly you out. So tell
right?
me about that experience. And which ones have you been interviewed by? What was who interviewed you the last time? Which
Well, George Norrie, I've been interviewed, but I'm going to be there in March this year, interviewed by Jimmy Church.
oh, okay.
Instead of George Norrie. But George Norrie, I think, is a wonderful interviewer, and he's very honoring of his speakers, no matter what we talk about that might seem really way out there. He's always very sincerely interested and bringing out as much as he can. Hopefully, that will be true of Jimmy Church as well. So it's a really nice experience. I'm in San Diego, so they fly me from San Diego and have a driver meet me at the airport and take me to a wonderful hotel in Boulder, Colorado, and I have dinner and spend the night there. And then next morning, I'm taken over to the studio in another town just a few miles away from Boulder and do the interview and get fed lunch and meet very interesting people, other speakers who were waiting to be filmed.
I can imagine that must be an interesting crowd.
Oh, very, yeah. And so far, I've always met somebody whom I know from a previous conference or somewhere, even including people from England whom I knew from my crop circle work in England. So it's a very nice experience. So I'd like to share a little bit more about some of these subjects that the Starseeds
Oh, yeah.
speak about, not only at the Conscious Life Expo, but on podcasts and interviews, and in their own writing and their own webinars, uh, however they can reach out to people to give them their perspective and their wisdom. So some of them concentrate on uh, channeling, bringing messages from Pleiadians and Arcturians um, and Dromedans and some of the other species of beings out there in space. Um, some talk about plant medicine. Some talk about ascension. Many of the starseeds talk about the process that we're slowly going through, the process of ascension. We humans and also planet Earth going through that. Um, so they can talk about awakening of the soul and many, many aspects of the soul. They can talk about getting messages from your own higher self. We all have a higher self, whether we're aware of it or not. And they help people to tune in to their own higher self to get important messages from them. And they talk about giving support to the star children. Very often, the families of star children are not aware that their children, or they're usually one child in the family, who is a star kid. And they really need help in adapting to this world and to developing the wonderful abilities that they have, psychic abilities, soul abilities, and so forth. Um, they they really encourage nurturing your own soul, tuning into your soul, learning from your soul. They talk about cosmic wisdom. They use sometimes wonderful instruments like crystal singing bowls and what that does to the consciousness and to our own frequency. Some of them emphasize sacred geometry and give wonderful examples of that. And so much sacred geometry has been shown in crop circles. So that's one of the features of some of those talks. They also instruct people about um, accessing their own Akashic records. And some of them are readers of the Akashic records and can tune into that for someone else. Some of them do visionary art or visionary music, which is just incredibly beautiful. Uh, some of them emphasize all kinds of fifth dimensional experiences that we would not know how to do if it weren't for them. Some of them get messages from angelic beings. Um, some of them compose high frequency, high coherence music, which is very wonderful, very consciousness raising, spiritual raising for people. Um, some talk about embracing your own light. So these are just some examples of what some of the star seeds talk about. And some of them are actually very good physical healers, not only educating, but doing the healing themselves with people who need it. So, in this world with so much going on that seems to be very negative and very combative, very over and against, um, I think it's a really important and wonderful balance that here and there, all over the world, there are these star seed people who are really here to do a whole different thing, to balance that out, raise the consciousness of people, raise the frequency of humanity. And I hate to think what would happen if we didn't have any people on like that, you know. So blessed, blessed is it that we have star seed people, and that we have hybrid people who do a lot of the same kinds of work, the same kinds of missions that star seeds do, and very blessed too that we have walk-in people, who are doing these excellent missions as well.
Right. Well, what I was getting was that um, our earth souls are here as kind of, they focus on personal growth. But the people who decide to reincarnate in human body, they are focused on personal growth. Our galactic choices, when we're star seeds or hybrids, we're expanding human consciousness or human perception.
Right.
The angelic are raising global vibration is the difference that I got in those three, that the reasons why they're here. So when we're talking about our star seeds and our galactic friends, they're here to expand human perception, which I think is very important. If they weren't here, we'd stay in wars all the time, which we are. I don't think there's any day on earth that we haven't been in some kind of conflict or war.
Oh, right. Yeah. So a star seed is incarnated here not for their own personal growth,
Right.
although they do have personal growth in living this life here, and whatever they do that is their service, but they are primarily here for service. It's a
Right.
very selfless thing, selfless reason for being here. Whereas most of us are here to experience and develop ourselves and learn, take care of karma from previous lifetimes. But it's focused on the self.
Right.
The star seeds are here focused on others.
Exactly. It's a good way to put it. Simple way to put it. That's good. I was going to say, I'm going to address the questions. We're not answering questions today, and I see Pingram being Bine. I see you're talking about walk-ins. Wanting to know if you're a walk-in. Sheila Seppi is probably an expert to talk to about walk-ins, but I will be answering questions on Saturday. I will be on at 9 o'clock Pacific time, 12 o'clock Eastern time. I'll be on to answer y'all's questions. So I'm sorry we're not answering questions today. Barbara has so much information that I would like to get that information out from her to y'all, so we can learn more, because she has so many years of experience dealing with regressions and the people who are having extraterrestrial experiences that we need to really focus on and learn from.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
okay. That's okay. So Saturday I will be answering those questions. So I'm going to say Sheila Seppi does do she does readings specifically for mainly for walk-ins, because she is a walk-in herself.
Right.
So
And she is here completely for service
right,
to humanity. She has a whole range of ways that she does that. A lot of it is teaching and lectures and forums and bringing other people forward who are probably at least starseeds to give instruction to the rest of us in podcasts and lectures and conferences and webinars. Um, I mean, it's just, and she does a lot of personal healing
yeah,
work as well.
she's
Uh,
actually be on her show, Sheila Seppi, for an interview.
Good. You were on
Yeah,
that?
I have been on her podcast
Good,
before.
good. You'd be a very appropriate person for that. Uh, I have been on some of those programs too.
Yeah,
Always consider it a great privilege because it's very high consciousness
yeah,
work. Yeah. So, I mean, I really think that humanity is blessed by having these kinds of people, the walk-ins, the starseeds, the hybrids, all selflessly choosing to reincarnate here as a human amongst us, and just having to experience whatever difficulties they might have because many people, don't understand them because they're on a whole different path, a different trajectory in their life. But I think that uh, we must have walk-ins and starseeds and hybrids all over the world.
Right.
At least in this country, uh, more and more is coming out. Like right now on your program, more and more is coming out for us to know about. I hope that's happening in other countries as well.
It is because I'm getting a lot of people now from other countries coming in, looking for that safe place to be able to talk to others who are having the same kind of experiences.
Good, good. That's great. And thanks to the internet, more and more people can know about these things, and more people can hear others like them who are walk-in starseeds or hybrids. And there's more and more awareness that there are these types of beings here, and that everything that these beings share with other people. In other words, I think that people on Earth now have a much better opportunity to have a broader framework of reality and different kinds of beings, and a lot of the help that there is really from some of these other beings. And I am very impressed with the number of other kinds of beings who are very, very concerned about Earth and particularly about humanity. And
I, that is amazing, isn't it? How many of them are concerned about us? I'm amazed about that too. And then going, why? We're so flawed. You know?
well, I think part of it is that uh, many of them, these other beings, claim to have had a very big influence on our developing
Right.
as human beings long, long, long ago. There's more and more coming out all the time about the genetic work that was done with pre-human life that had already developed here on Earth, and genetic work and a lot of experimentation, I'm sure, and ultimately developing into human beings. And so, since many of these species out there help to create us, or some of the species help to create us, um, it's kind of like we're their children in a way. We're their offspring,
Yeah.
and
Oh, a
even
lot of them, I know a lot of them look at us that way as their children.
right. So they care about us. They care about what we're doing. I don't mean individually so much as what we're doing as various societies.
Right.
And oh, some of them have expressed through channeled messages that they dearly wish that we would grow up and
Yes.
develop past things like greed and crime
Yeah.
and war and any of the hurtful things that many people do.
Right.
And
Well, I think it's the Palladians that really want us to grow up because what we do on this planet affects their star system. So I think they're like,
yeah,
please grow up and see what you're doing to the galactic, the atmospheres and everything around you instead of you on Earth paying attention only to Earth. I think it's the Palladians that are probably tapping their foot the hardest. And they're the most prominent here.
well, a lot of the different groups out there in space are very concerned about our nuclear.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about, actually.
Yeah, right. I thought so, and they have said very specifically that if we start setting off nuclear bombs, all that radiation will not only ruin life on Earth and really, really harm the Earth itself for a long, long time, but it will also spread out through our whole solar system.
Right.
So our nuclear weapons will affect very badly all the planets in the solar system and even beyond the planets beyond our own solar system. So it's a big deal. Not
Yeah.
only a big deal for us humans, of course, but a big deal for a good chunk of the cosmos.
Right.
So they definitely don't want to see us using those weapons. And some of them, I think it's wonderful. Some of them have come here and decommissioned our nuclear missiles that we have in missile silos in various parts of this country and in other countries. And so, and it's actually been witnessed and testified to that certain people have seen a big UFO over one of our missile silo locations, and they are turning off the weapons so they cannot be fired out of the missile silo and harm others, and of course explode and spread nuclear material. So I, whenever I hear about that, a UFO being seen over a missile silo, I just cheer.
I know
I
you applaud. Yay.
send out a big thank you for doing that. And presumably, reportedly, they have done this not only in the United States, but in some of the other countries that have nuclear bombs ready to be sent off at any moment.
And
So,
ones that we don't know about.
right. Yeah. So, I mean, that's just one of many indications that some of these extraterrestrial beings really care about humanity and care
Right.
about Earth. And of course, they care about themselves. They would like to continue too, just like we would.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Barbara, it's been great having you today. Lots of information as usual. Thanks everybody for joining us and making this a safe place. Thanks moderators for making it a safe place to talk. And I will be back on Saturday at 9 o'clock Pacific time and 12 o'clock Eastern time, where I will be answering questions. And any last words, Barbara?
Well, some of you listening to this might be starseeds yourself, or if you don't identify with that, it's just kind of an encouragement for you to do what you can do to enlighten other people around you in your life.
Most of the time, I say if you're in this chat and you haven't run kicking and screaming saying there are two crazy women talking, you must be a starseed or hybrid.
And if you're not, good for you anyway. Good for you for being here, learning and expanding and growing. It's beautiful.
All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you later. All right. Bye bye.